I secretly want to get into a bar fight. Like that's one of my dreams. It's like, man, I hope one day I'm just randomly hanging out and I see a bar stool crack over somebody. I'm like, it's happening. Like, I can't wait for this moment in my life. I know.
We in the field, we in the field, right? We in the field, we in the field. Just put it in work. We raising the bar. You tuned in to the Trackstarz.
Yeah, back in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, SEANTANA, DJ Jeremiah. What's good?
Alright. This episode is sponsored by the Streets Don't Love You tour. Reconcile is coming to Atlanta, y'all. And he's coming to a city near you, so make sure you go and check out Reconcile. The StreetsDon'tLoveYouTour.com actually is the site that you want to look at to find out what cities he's going to be in, how you can get your tickets, who all is coming. Shout out to Corey Paul, shout out to Ruslan, shout out to Surf Gang, shout out to Reconcile. He's bringing his fam all across the country, so make sure you get in the building, alright?
Yeah, man, so we got Tedashii in the building.
We got a real radio expert in the building.
Whoa.
Real radio expert.
How is that?
Oh man, hear good things about you, man. Good things about your show.
Okay.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate that.
What got you in the radio?
I'm supposed to give honest answers.
Yeah.
It's two things. I grew up in Houston. There's a dude by the name of Mad Hatter out of 97.9 The Box. He's from North Carolina, but he's been in Houston forever. He's a Houstonian by now. But hearing him on the radio, and then I was the biggest fan of TV and radio personalities. I was like, anybody that can get paid to talk, like I want that job. Like you just get to talk. Like as a kid, that's what I thought. I'm like, man, I want that job. That's it. And so there was just news anchors that I just fell in love with. And I was like, that's how you make money? I was like, I can talk. I can get paid. That's what I want. So,
I made up my mind about radio when I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
But I hated my voice back then, and I still hate it today.
I hate my voice too, though.
Oh, okay.
I do. I'm not saying it because you said it.
That must be
You thought I was going to shade. Like,
That must be hard listening to your voice on radio and rapping.
Yeah, it gets tough sometimes. I don't listen to it though. That's probably to my detriment because most people listen to what they do for like, learning points, growth moments, and I can't. So I've never listened to one show.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it doesn't happen.
I was about to say, what's your toughest interview?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't listened to it yet.
Oh, really?
Now, see, I'm a little more comfortable watching it back.
Yeah.
Because
you can skip through it quicker.
You can skip through it quicker, but people also tell you how well you do, and then it makes you feel better. Even though you're your own worst critic, it still makes you feel better.
I get that. I can see that all day. That's definitely where I am. I can see that.
So there's been rumblings. People are starting to figure out that stuff is coming.
It's rumbling.
So like clearly something is happening.
Something's happening, man. Something's happening.
I've been seeing you in the studio with my boy Ace over here.
Man. Ace in the building.
Yeah.
That's the milestone.
No, it's a blessing, man. Tedashii he's turning up, and it's coming. I'm not even gonna give away everything, but he's coming.
Yeah, bro.
Stay tuned.
I'm excited, man.
Rumbling.
You all compliment each other.
How so? How would I say that?
Producer, extraordinary producer, extraordinary rapper. I mean, this is gonna be amazing.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited. Ace is on the team, and like not just from because we worked together in the past, but not just because of that. It's more so because of the role that he plays now and how he runs it. Like it's just, you're right. I'm glad it's evident though. Like I feel like there's this complimentary way that we work with one another. So I agree.
So man, what can we expect from? I mean, because I always thought about like, man, Tedashii, you're willing to try stuff, man.
I am.
Like the music, everything. It's like you man, I'm gonna try something different for each project. So like, what can we expect from this new one coming?
Man, I have a real big heart to try to grow with a message every project, and that's kind of been the focus. But again, like you spoke of with Ace being on the team, Reach kind of having this just kind of new staff almost completely. Just the way that we go about it is way different now than what it used to be, and so I think it's produced something sonically for me that I probably haven't either done in a while or that I haven't done ever. And Ace has been really, really into like, man, we want to hear you rap, bro. Like, bars. We want to hear you rap, bro. Like, we know you can sing, we know you can like rhyme or whatever. Like, we get the melodies and all that, but man, we just want to hear you rap. Like, what you got to say? So I've been trying to focus on that. Like, heavy, man, heavy.
So you put the song out yesterday with KB.
Yes.
All right. So explain that. Explain the video. How'd that come about?
Okay. So the song's called Way Up, and like you said, it's featuring my man KB. We went back and forth on an idea, and then eventually I let it go. I was like, it's just so much happening. He's ready to go on tour. I was working on music in the studio. I was like, man, we'll get to it. And then eventually it kind of circled back around, and we was able to get the song done. The heart for me behind the song was really just this idea of I'm with God on my side. Like, I don't know who I should fear. And I think oftentimes there's this reality of courage that we're asked to have as Christians, but then there's this very subtle fear that we don't get the room to speak about. Not from the standpoint of holding on to it, but just from the standpoint of being honest about where we might be. And so the song really does try to help people recognize, man, that fear is real, but God is realer, and God is there to help you in it. And so I was more than excited to do the song, more than excited to kind of get that point across, and then just go way up with it. I mean, focus upward, but then also just momentum for where I am in life and career. I'm like, man, let's go way up with it. So that was kind of the heart behind that.
Whose idea was the video?
Oh, my fault, you did say that. So I think we went back and forth with ideas of creativity, and the director, my boy Mick, came up with that concept, and I was like, I love it. I just wanted something that looked captivating, because I think in the past sometimes unless it's a full-blown music video, a lot of times you just get random visuals, like, oh look, it's a picture, or man, cool, it's like this still image that vibrates with the song, and I'm like, those are cool, but let's give them something that's like, let's do something that can be accomplished easily, but give them something visually to look at, and we thought that was it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
So like, man, I'm excited, bro. I'm excited. So like, how do you get your bars together into like serious matter? Because at times you talk about a lot of serious stuff on your projects and stuff like that. So how do you like still clever with the pen, but it's still serious talk?
So one thing that I started doing, I started writing lyrics and just not caring about bars, just getting my heart out. Let me just get my heart out. And then once I'm done, I go back and then I find the places that I can interject some sort of, bar that would be captivating, like what do you call them, Ace?
Live bars.
Live bars.
Way up.
Yeah, the live bars or the punchlines or whatever they are, man. Just go back and see where it can fit. Because for me, I've always been message first.
Gotcha.
I feel like for me, I want to be the most approachable, honest, sincere person you can engage, who also stands on the stage. And it's not a matter of, because when I'm off stage, I mean, when you walked in, you talking about you and your son. Yeah. And I'm like, we got to go to real life. Like, we get off the mic, go to real life. And you got to deal with whatever's happening in real life. Yeah. And so I wanted the stage to be an element of that for me as well. So I literally write down all of the things that I want to say, that I want to deal with, that I want to express, that I want to emote. And then I just run back to it and go, okay, punchline can fit here. I can say something clever there. Yeah, live bar. And then see what happens.
So you guys have kind of spanned 2 generations of this music thing that we do.
Yeah.
How have you seen it change since the cross movement days to now? Because I feel like you guys have been the first to adopt the newer sound before everybody else. How have you made those decisions, and what can you say about the journey Reach has been on?
Wow. Okay. That's a good question, because I never really considered that, like the span. I've never done that. Well, I think honestly, man, the goal for us when we first got into music was to do something that I could play for my cousins, something that I could play for my family members back in Houston, they friends on the block. I just wanted to do something that would speak to who they were and where they come from, but do it true to who I am. And so the Bible talks about out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. And so I knew everything that I had become as a Christian was going to overflow. I just had to go and do it in a way that they could relate to it. And I felt like that was where we were when we started rocking with Cross Movement. I feel like that's what happened when we kind of found our own lane and our own voice, and I feel like that's what's still happening now. But just being intentional about making sure that it's culturally influenced, but not jacking the culture. So yeah.
Let's talk about some real stuff.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Why your face is like you was waiting for this moment? Hey guys, we got to give him 4 or 5 good questions. Then we get to the real stuff.
So okay, so I've been around for a while now, and I have seen you guys make some calculated shifts.
Yeah.
And because you guys get asked questions by people that aren't in Christian hip hop, right? And to me, honestly, you kind of answered it the best so far, but I get the messaging.
Yeah.
Right? So this whole Christian rapper question, right? So I saw you navigate that question pretty well.
Yeah.
What is because first of all, I want to know, was there a conversation?
Initially, no. I think because of people's responses, there has been conversation.
Okay, so you guys have tried to clean the messaging up a little bit?
At least give some sort of clarity to it so people can follow better.
Okay.
Because again, it's real life.
Yeah.
I feel like people have been able to walk with us on the journey and follow where we've been going.
Yeah.
And none of that's hidden or sugarcoated. Like, it's a legitimate, I think this now, I'm gonna talk about it. I feel this way strongly, I'm gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
And before long you realize, wait, there's a group of people following and listening.
And they're hanging on every word.
Right, I need to turn around and say something real quick,
Yeah.
and then go that route. So
Yeah. So let me summarize what I heard you say. It seems like I'm putting all the messages together from Andy, from Lecrae, from you. So it sounds like you want to make sure that the music you do is rooted in the hip hop culture, but not throw away the Christian part.
Right.
But because people feel like Christian rapper means something very specific,
Right.
you tried to shed that box,
Right.
and be a little bit more accepted into the hip hop sphere. Is that accurate?
it's beautiful. I would just add one caveat to the last segment of that. Accepted by anyone.
Right.
And so not just the hip hop sphere, although in the hip hop sphere I do feel like people have their whatever preconceived notions about what Christian is in general. But at any rate, like when I'm on a plane and I'm sitting next to a guy and he's like, what do you do? And I go, I do Christian hip hop. His next question is, what is that? And I don't have a problem with that because now I get to explain it. But when I say I do hip hop, he has his own idea of that as well. But less objection to the continuing of the conversation. And so I get to engage him more versus by trying to put a box on it that, quite frankly, I never put on it like that. I never really ran to go get. It was already there, and prior to growth and my own journey of knowledge and understanding God's word, I assumed had to remain there.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, no, it doesn't have to remain there, although it can be something I think that we express in certain moments, especially to the people. Like when I go home, when I'm up here, I don't walk in the room and announce myself, hey guys, it's Tedashii, the son of Vera. It's like, no, it's Tedashii. And now if you ask who my mom, right, if you ask who my mama is, I'm gonna come in and tell you who my mama is, and we can go down that road.
Yeah.
But not necessarily have to shy away from it either. And when I go home, my mom loves for me to be like, hey, what's up? This is my mama. Like, I don't go home and go, Vera, you cook yet?
Yeah.
It's like, mama, what you make? And it's received differently. So among family, I can have one language that totally resonates, that unlike with another person who may not be family, that I can at least attempt to go there. And that attempt to me doesn't devalue or rob anything of what I'm trying to do message-wise.
Did the initial reaction from the church and Christian hip hop, did that hurt you guys? Because you guys have been kind of leading the way, and all of a sudden it felt like everybody was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Did that hurt? Like, I never get to see inside.
Yeah. I think for a moment it did. I think there was a little sting, but not a sting in the sense of accusation toward them.
Yeah.
I think if anything, it was kind of this shock. Because again, you running in real life, and you turn around and look, and it's like, wait, why would you say that? What would make you feel that way? I think when you leave that moment, my example is the best example I had at the moment. But I share it with you now because it's what I said at the time. I was like, man, honestly, there's no reason to be angry or bothered, because what we did was the movie Forrest Gump, when my man just said he wanted to run, and he started at his house in Alabama and ended up on the San Francisco Bay Coast.
Yeah.
And just kept running, and then stopped and turned and looked at these people and was like, guess I'm gonna go home now. And it was like, wait, what does this mean? What? Why? People came up with their own idea of what he was doing, how he was running, why he was running, what he was running for. They attached their desires and motives to it and ran with him.
Yeah.
And then turned around and said, well, I'm going home now. And their world shattered because they realized, what was I doing? What was I thinking? And so my goal was never to be like, hey, I'm gonna go over here and run this journey. I need you to tag along with me. If anything, it was, I'm gonna run this journey, look at it, and hopefully it encourages you in yours. But oftentimes, I think just by human nature, we attach ourselves to someone else and then create bonds that biblically may be there, but then we overexert those bonds to the point of now, I'm obligated to be your idea of me.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's, I think, a fair position. I don't hope that.
No, that was good. That was really good. Way more than I thought it was.
If I could just add to, regardless of labels, and no pun intended, but it's all about the content. I feel like the art form, hip hop is the bridge. Hip hop is the bridge to the community, to the youth. So that's the bridge, and then across that bridge is our faith and who we are as people. I don't think that's not going to change. So whatever art form we do, who we are is going to bleed through that art form. So regardless of the box you put it in, the bridge, the most relatable bridge to people outside of the church is hip hop. So if you label that bridge a certain kind of way, people may not be as inclined to walk towards it or walk across it. But if you extend the olive branch with, this is hip hop, and by the way, who I am as a Christian is going to bleed through. I mean, listen the way up. I mean, my God is, giants are tall, but my God is tall. Like this is biblically based content. This is not really, it's still unashamed.
And that's the thing that never changed.
Never.
And so, I'm sorry.
No, you cut you
off. So my new concern, I say new within the last 3 or 4 months, my new concern is similar to the factions that began because either I call myself Christian hip hop or I don't. Either I say Jesus in a song or I don't, whatever the case may be. Because those factions existed, I think when factions are created, they spawn off with the potential of creating factions within those factions.
Right.
And so for the sake of right and good, we end up moving or falling into error and discourse. And so my hope would be that people would have conversations like we're having now, like we've had as artists, that people would understand there has to be a fight toward unity in the bond of peace as we try to find growth in the definitions that we want to hold to. So.
How much of that do you guys hear? Because I think some people kind of see you guys as being way up here. Do you? Because I saw a video. Did you see this one? The kid was like, he was so disappointed, man. He was. Did you hear that? The dude was just screaming, like angry, like reprobate. I'm like, God, dog, what? Are you okay? I mean, people were like really going through it, and I think some of that, and Jeremiah's the first one that always pointed this out. There's been idols created on both sides. These people there's idols that they've made of worldly artists, and then they've made you guys idols. And when you guys don't do what they expect, they are really affected by it.
It's good, and that's a real point, because there's for me mentally, there's 3 things that come up. One, culture is informing them, because in culture you make idols of people and entertainers. They do that with us, but for biblical reasons, quotes, air quotes, biblical reasons, and then justify it through those biblical reasons. I'm like, no, you just kind of did what the world does, and you're not there yet to see it or admit it. There's a way to enjoy and function with and partner with without it going to that level. Secondly, I do feel like there are people that have real concerns, because I had a woman come to me and she said, well, your song about your son, that moved me. My mother had just passed. I'm a fan. I listen to you now. And so I have to recognize I put in a particular space something that really did impact someone's heart. And so I could take the Barkley round and be like, I ain't a role model if I want to, but I don't think the Bible gives me room to be that rigid. And so I got to be willing to show grace to some extent. But then thirdly, I do think we are a small thing in a vast universe that sometimes we don't take note of that. Like I'm here for a good 80 maybe, and I'm out. And so during that time, I'm going to maximize whatever God's given me to do, and then I'm out. And so in that, sometimes that mentality drives you, and people don't really see beyond their own lens. And so I'm trying to make sure I'm gracious enough to explain that, but at the same time, hand to the plow. Like I gotta keep moving.
I think even with Christians, we see too much speculation and not enough communication.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to the heart. When they meet you, when they get an autograph, things like that, all that changes. For us, it was the same way. People talked about our show, talked about us not having Bibles on our table and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And then when they come to Atlanta, they spend time in the studio. It's like, oh, y'all are good guys.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so I really hate that because I try to defend. I try to defend you guys as much as I can because it's like, well, do you know them to be saying this? And you look at these YouTube clips and these videos, and I mean, we just call them internet Christian thugs because all they do is get online and say these things, and then when you see them in person, nobody has a bad thing to say to you in person. I've never had anyone come up to us and say, oh man, I really don't like your show, I really don't like who you guys are, what you guys talk about in person, but I read it all the time on YouTube.
Yeah. Now, depending on the person, I've done two things. One, I've had to sincerely go, I don't know what the issue is, but I apologize up front because I don't want you to be hindered in your ability to enjoy walking with other people, because it's not me only. People who may agree with me now become your enemy. So I'm like, I don't want you to be hindered in that way either. So my apologies, but let's talk further. And then the other side of it, especially with belligerent people, like I was at a show with Craig and we were in Colorado, and there was a guy who came up like, I got a word for you. And we was like, well, after the concert, sir, we have to be over here now, but later on we could try to make that happen. Well, my man got family in town, so he's not gonna go sit over here with you, but I will go sit with you. I'm sincere enough to do that, sir. What do you want to say? It has to be him. I was like, well, you want me to film you, bro? Like, I don't know. It's not gonna happen. He's about to leave. Well, I don't know what you said. I don't know what you're talking about. And then stood up to square off. And listen.
He rose up.
Hey! And
Tedashii?
I secretly want to get into a bar fight. Like that's one of my dreams. It's like, man, I hope one day I'm just randomly hanging out and I see a bar stool crack over somebody. I'm like, it's happening. Like, I can't wait for this moment in my life. I have no clue.
They don't want to see what Tedashii.
I'm so excited. Those moments are fun to me. So anyway, I'm sitting there like, well, okay, bro. And the road manager runs over. He stands in between us. He's like, you gotta go. You gotta go. Radio, security. You gotta go. And so I'm thinking, well, what message was it that you became that? Like, cause no apostle or prophet did that. But I don't know what message was this. And what I realized was, people become so caught up with their agenda, you don't really see the forest for the trees. You're just like, man, I got to do what I got to do, and that's it. And so the sober-minded individuals are the ones that I end up engaging the most. But for people like him, I either leave alone or I do the political thing, the politically correct thing. Hey man, listen, if type or text or talk, hey, if you don't agree with me, if there's an issue, I would love to direct you to my board of elders at the church that I belong to, and I'd love for you to talk with them. They have care over my soul. You can engage them all day. They would love that too. And I've given, and I send the address with it. I say the address to their face. No one's gotten a call, no one's gotten an email, no one's gotten a letter, and you realize it's really kind of anger in the moment versus true long-term anger, and I just move on.
Real quick, this came from the fans. What do you guys feel about NF? Have you seen the rise of NF? I know you guys have worked with him behind the scenes too. What do you think about his rise and what he's doing right now?
I know NF from concerts when I do music. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like, I've engaged him at shows, and he's been down to earth, super humble, like willing to engage or relate. I've seen, I think the most recent thing was his song on Spotify that's blowing up. And so I'm like, okay, bro, kill it then. Okay, bro. Like, I didn't know that was happening. But honestly, just from behind the scenes, my engagement was like, after the concert, oh, NF was here? And then he walked in the catering. I'm like, go sit down and talk. So he's a real down-to-earth dude, super cool.
That's what we heard about him too.
But other than that, I haven't really engaged in music much.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's what's up. So you dealt with some hard stuff in the past. You dealt with that on Beyond Paradise. Where is this album going that you're working on, a project? I don't know. Where is this going? What's the focus of it?
Hey, I love it.
Hey, so I am definitely in the same lane, if you will. Again, it's real life. I just think I want to communicate the struggle from a different vantage point. I'm definitely like I had an album called Blacklight. It was all about like, man, let's celebrate that one day we'll see the Lord. Like this truth that isn't always expressed is revealed by God, like a black light shining in a dark room. It's revealed and I want to show it. It's been revealed to me and I want to express it. And then from that, what I thought was deep revelation at the time got smashed by living real life. And I'm like, oh, well, Below Paradise has got to be it. I got to be able to communicate like, here's where I am, here's my heart, here's what I feel. And then now coming to this one, it's really a heart to communicate some of the same things, but with 3 years of growth out of those moments, or going through those moments, and just being sincere and honest with all of it. That's why Way Up to me was such an intentional song, because it was this heart of like, man, this world is scary. Like, this world can be hard to deal with. But I'm going to put my faith on display. I'm gonna really live out this thing, and I'm gonna fight to go way up with it.
I got a real random question for you. Just came to my mind. If you could wake up tomorrow and express one thought, one concern that the whole world had to hear, what would that be?
See yourself the way that God sees you and not other people. Identity's always been big on my heart. I mean, I grew up playing football. I grew up a nerd. I grew up a band geek. I grew up all those things. Like, my mom was most of my family are educators, or they're military, or both. And they all express this idea of, you can be anything you want to be, go be it. And my mom was one who said, well, if I mentioned it, we was gonna do it. It was like, man, that'd probably be cool to play a trumpet and see how that sounds. You're doing it. Well, I like football, you're playing it. I love basketball, you're gonna do it. And I just kept, she's that person. And being an educator, a family of educators, like my grades couldn't slip. I had to be serious about school. So growing up, there was this identity of myself that existed in multiple sets of groups of people. It's like, to the band people I'm one thing, football players I'm one thing, to the nerds at school I'm another thing. And so all the while I'm existing in these groups trying to find who I am. And really what I realized, there's a book I read called The Search for Significance, and one of the things that he talks about is the hamster wheel of performance, where the hamster is in his cage and he gets on the wheel to perform, and in his mind he's either going to progress or he's going to please, but he's never going to be free. And so I'm like, man, I'm in this box, like just dancing to please people, performing to please people, trying to get some notoriety, gain some sort of love, get some more pellets dropped in my cage. Like, I want to be impressive, all the while I'm already free in God's eyes, and I never saw it. And so I'm like, never again, no more. And on top of that, any person I can meet to help them see God sees you one way, that's the way you should see yourself, and never let anyone tell you otherwise. And so you're loved, you're fully accepted, you matter, you're significant, and your life goes far beyond the random walls of the room that you feel trapped in most of the time.
I like the place you in, man.
Yeah, bro. Thank you, man.
I see it in your face. You look good.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Appreciate that, man.
All right, man. Let's get back into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, SEANTANA, DJ Jeremiah. Let go!
Hey guys, Miracle here. Thanks so much for watching the show. Make sure you go below, subscribe, like, click the bell. Oh, and go to our website, because that's important. And be sure to follow us on all forms of social media and tell everyone you know about us. Okay? Thanks. See you next time.
We know not what we doing. Screw that, they know, let them have it, do it. Okay, I'm erratic, prove it. Never mind, got a mind that'll wind up with me in a lineup behind bars with these bars. Okay, my time's up.
Team Freedom. Yeah. We not through yet. All right. Trackstarz Music presents. Turn my volume up. Turn me off.